don't really think that you can have a productive conversation unless you are both remembering we're one team, we're on the same side of the table, we both want to win. A few weeks ago, I made a post on Instagram where I talked about how I wanted to get your top questions. I've answered a crap ton of them.
What are some good skills that I can acquire and monetize? Currently, I'm in sales, but not killing it. Was considering coding, but I'm feeling too old at 26 and that it would take me too long.
The best thing you could do is figure out why you're sucking at sales. Sales is such a good skill set to learn, especially when you're 26. I would figure out why you're not able to sell or what belief you have. Right now you're saying like, I'm not good at sales. Like, no, you haven't acquired the skill of sales. So there's something that you're not doing to acquire the skill. So I think you need to go in and identify like, what is that thing? Compare yourself to the people who are killing it. Like, what behaviors are they exhibiting on a daily basis? What are they doing in terms of training? What are they practicing? And go all in on that, because I think it is an important enough skill that you should learn it.
How do you have more discipline?
I think that the fastest way for people to have more discipline is to say no more than they say yes. Let's look at food, for example. They say yes every time there's a piece of food in front of them. They say yes to all kinds of food. They say yes to eating out all the time. And that results in no discipline. Let's look at business. They say yes to starting a new business. They say yes to affiliating with a product. They say yes to a new business partner. And then they end up with like 17 businesses that all make an abysmal amount of money. Let's look at yes in terms of relationships. They say yes to going on this date, yes to going on that date, yes to being with this person, yes to being with that person, till eventually they've ruined their reputation by saying yes all the time. In what areas of your life are you saying yes and it's actually not getting you what you want? And that saying no would get you more of what you do want and less of what you don't want.
What is your process with making goals? Is there any questions that I should be asking myself, or is it kind of spontaneous?
I think the reason that most people suck at making goals is because they try to make goals for like 17 areas of their life, and those areas are not integrated together. I have one big goal, an impact-related goal, and I gear all of my goals towards that. How I do my fitness, how I do my relationship, how I do work, it all gears towards like wanting to make an impact. And so that makes setting goals really easy. I think that the reason most people overcomplicate goals is because they look at their life in segments in a way that they don't all feed the same system. But when everything's interrelated, it's really easy because it's all under one umbrella. So I think in order to set your goals, you have to understand the long-term vision that you want for your life. And if you don't understand that, it is very hard to set goals. And if you do know, then it makes it incredibly easy.
How did you get over the fear of judgment when creating content?
I think that you learn to act despite feeling that people are judging you for your content. I think that you take the feedback from the audience and you try to add it in and factor that into the content that you're making. People are always going to judge you. People say some mean, nasty shit to me. And honestly, I've kind of learned to like it, if anything. At the end of the day, if you are saying anything worth being said, you're going to have opposition. And if you are actually being yourself, probably going to have a lot of people who don't like you. I would rather be myself and allow others to judge me than not be myself and constantly judge myself.
What mental steps do you go through to take action on a big, like, daunting task?
I don't think you go through any mental steps for a big daunting task. I think that you go do the task. I think that actually what makes the task so daunting is the fact that you think that you need to think about it before you go do it. What if you could be anxious about it and be stressed about it, be frustrated, be nervous, and still do it anyways? Honestly, you're best off just not thinking about it by distracting yourself with other things and with realizing that you don't need to do anything. You can feel anxious, you can do it anyways.
We applied to acquisition.com, but we don't qualify yet. What is your advice on how we can position ourselves to be able to qualify to work with you all? We want a franchise and need help. Thanks.
If you are a restaurant and we didn't qualify you, I'd say there's a few things. One, you could just be too low in revenue. Maybe we thought you were too small and there's not enough of a proven track record. Maybe you don't have enough locations open yet. The second one is like maybe your startup costs are too high. This is something that we see all the time in franchises, which is the reason that they're not able to be successful is not because the model doesn't work. It's because the cost of capital that you have to allocate to start up a single location is so high that it doesn't make sense for anyone to buy in as a franchisee. That is one of the common mistakes, especially in the food industry. Any kind of food chain, the startup costs are so high. If you can figure out a way to get the startup costs, say, half of what they are now and still make it viable, then I think that is like a brilliant way.
If you got no skills, would you work on getting skills one by one or learning everything and adapting everything one by one?
If you don't have skills, the way in which to figure out what skill to acquire is to figure out what the constraints are. What is stopping you from getting what you want? What right now am I not able to do that? If I were able to do it, I would have what I want. And that is how you figure out what skill you need to get. For someone who's new, It might actually be that you have all constraints, because every single area is a place where you lack a skill. And so then the question is, what area, if I put my attention to, will provide me with the highest return?
What do you do if you try something, either in your business or your career, and you don't get any momentum?
If you have tried something and you have not gained momentum, and there's proof that other people have gained momentum, then I think that its execution is off. So I would not switch and look at something new until I figured out, like, where did I fail in the execution of this thing? Momentum is really just success over and over and over again. And you only are gonna get that if you're continuing to be consistent in winning in execution. Go find somebody who has succeeded in that thing and go see what they're doing. Go ask them, go dig into what they're doing in terms of the execution and try to figure out where the gap is.
What has been your best decision in business?
All of the best decisions I've made in business have been to stay focused. I think on a really long time horizon. So the best decisions I have made have been ones that you wouldn't be able to see, because it was saying no to opportunities that were not right for that time. And because of that, it allowed us to stay focused and achieve the goals we ultimately wanted to. And right now we're at the phase with acquisition.com where we need to do that.
The second question on her comment was, what has been your worst and what did you learn from it?
I think the worst decisions I've made have been ones where I didn't think through the full context of what was required for a role. And I put someone in there who lacked awareness or skill in a key area that was fundamental to making it work. And then it had detrimental repercussions on the team and the business. It's always been people decisions that have been the worst ones. Nobody's gonna be like a 10 out of 10 fit for any role. That's just like impossible to find someone who's a perfect fit for any given role in any company. But for me, in the beginning, I lacked at identifying, like, okay, the 30% that they do lack for this role, what is it? And then how can we work on it? And then are we both aware of it? And I think now I make that much more of a discussion versus then I didn't even think about it.
What would you say is the best trait to look for when hiring people?
I think an underrated trait when hiring is curiosity. Because if people are curious about what you do, they're curious about the company, they're curious about learning, it's always a very good disposition, because then people are open-minded and like ready to learn new skills. There's not much that you cannot train people on and you can't help them develop. But if they're not interested in doing that, that is a problem.
Do you have a process for when you and Alex disagree or have a conflict?
Most of the time, we try to do like a reframe, which is one of two things. One is normally when we're in conflict, it's because we're feeling like we're on opposite sides of the table. One of the best things, and this is something that Alex did and now I've reciprocated it, is like he'll just grab me and he'll just hug me for like a minute until I've de-escalated. And now I have learned to try and do the same with him. I'm here, I love you, we are on the same team. I think that's the first thing. I don't really think that you can have a productive conversation with your spouse unless you are both remembering, like, we're one team, we're on the same side of the table, we both want to win. The second piece is, do you just need some time alone? If you are too emotional, I think that having a conversation with your spouse is just like not productive at all. So sometimes like I'll take myself on a walk, exit the conversation, we'll go do something else. A lot of the times what we do is we actually end up texting each other. We can read what we're saying, we're more thoughtful. There's a lot of evidence to support that when you're writing something down, you're able to be more thoughtful about it than you are when you're just like exploring out words. And then you could also see if what you're saying is completely bullshit and emotional.
Okay, so the next one. Secrets to the fabulous makeup routine.
Oh my God, are people really asking that? My makeup routine?
Yeah.
I don't know. What am I supposed to say? I don't know how to show makeup without, like, how do you talk about makeup? Like here, I blend here and do like, you know what I mean?
How do you approach it? Like, do you do it yourself? When do you not do it yourself? How long do you take? What are some of your favorite go-to products? Like foundation, eyeliner, mascara, blush.
Makeup, not something I consider myself an expert at. So I'll hire people to do my makeup for things like events. And then I watch what they do. I ask how they're doing it. And I watch them in the mirror. And then I try to do it myself. And I only allow myself maximum 15 minutes. I think that people just take time because they have time. I think a lot of people have time to do their makeup, so they like take forever to pat the stuff on and all that. I think that you can do it in 15 minutes. I really do. Like I go really fast. Like I'm sweating by the end of my routine.
How do you not chew people's heads off that only ask you about being married to Alex instead of running your multi-million-dollar business?
I think most people, me being a married person having a successful marriage is more relatable to more people. There are not as many women in my position as there are women who are married. So it makes sense they would ask about the thing that is relevant to them. That's the first piece. The second piece is, I think that a lot of people don't want to ask Alex because they figure he doesn't want to talk about it. A lot of men don't like to talk about like marriage, love, all that stuff. You just like associate the woman with being the one who wants to talk about it, not the man. And I would say the third is that people don't actually think I run the business. Fair.
How close should you be with your employees and still have them respect you as a boss?
Do your friends not respect you? If you're like, how do I get close with my employees with them still respecting me as a boss, it is alluding to the fact that you're acting somewhat different in the workplace than you would personally. Which then makes me say like, well, do your friends respect you? If the answer is yes, then you can be as close as you want to your employees. But if it's no, well, what are you doing inside of work when you're acting as their boss that you do differently outside of work? And the one phrase a mentor told me when I first got into business is he said, Layla, never do something that you wouldn't be proud for someone to find out about. And that has been something that I have lived by ever since I heard that, because I thought to myself, like, I want no dirty laundry. There's nothing that I wouldn't be okay with the public finding out, because I live in a way that no matter how much people get to know me, in fact, the people who get to know me better tend to respect me more. And I would like to live in accordance with that.
How do you deal with the sense of entitlement and work ethic, or should I say lack of, with the up and coming generation?
I think that we need to stop talking about the generation as if they are hopeless. And I think that what we need to start doing is understanding that maybe different generations have different ways in which they are parented, which then leads in like a very vague manner, a lot of people to act in a certain way. What you can do is train people. Leaders don't actually know how to train people, getting them to exhibit different behavior than they are currently exhibiting. And so I think that if you actually know how to do that, you have a huge advantage in terms of acquiring the talent of the new and up and coming generation. What do you do about it? You become better at training.
Would you ever run a business at a loss to help grow another business?
Would I run a business at a loss to help grow another business? No, fucking shut it down. Like, I don't even understand that. The only reason that I can imagine that you would run one to help grow another is to use the cash flow from one to invest in growing the other. I don't understand why you would grow one at a loss. How does that help you grow the next one? Beats me.
Can you share your best joke? Alex said you're really funny.
Do people even have jokes anymore? They think I like do stand-up comedy to him in the bedroom. As it really gets him going, you know? Let's talk about EBITDA. Look at these P&Ls. Let me give you another one.
What is your personal gym pet peeve?
I just think it's like absolutely fucking disgusting when somebody like ran on the treadmill for like an hour and then they come and do like jumping jacks next to me. Like their spit like flies, like their sweat goes all over you. You know what I mean? Like I just find that disgusting and I hate you. No, but like literally it happened to me the other day in the gym. The guy was like doing skater sprints and he was dripping and it was just, I'm 8 feet away from the guy and it's flying on my face. And I was like, seriously?